Grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, and God evening to all. My name is Justin B., and I'm a son of an all-powerful, all-loving God and a qualifying addict of multiple fellowships living in the miracle of recovery. And I'm here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. Nikki, come say hi to us here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nikki M, and I'm a hope dealer today. I think that's how I'm coming to the table. I'm going to deal some hope. What's hope? Well, it's the expectation that something great's going to happen to me. And I want to deal that to you guys today. And I got my partner in crime, the other hope dealer, Justin B. So we're just real grateful to be here and get into some hope because there's an endless supply for everybody today.
Love that. And I'm on board being a hope dealer today. Let's dish out some hope. All right. Just a little bit background on Rico 12. We are an organization that provides hope to the addict out there still suffering through multiple ways. We've got this Noodle It Out with Nikki podcast. We've got our Big Book Roundtable podcast. We've got our flagship, the Rico 12 Speaker Meeting podcast. These podcasts go live every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and we're just grateful to have these different things. And running this project does take some resources, and we're grateful to those who have and continue to contribute. If you out there in the listening audience feel a nudging to contribute some financially or word of mouth, please consider doing so. To contribute financially, you can go to rico12.com/support, or you can click on the links that will be in the show notes of this podcast. We're grateful to any help and support we get. All right, and this project, the Noodle It Out with Nikki M project, is an exercise and deep dive into finding solutions to questions, issues, and things we encounter in everyday life from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. We use the 4th edition, so grab your big book, get ready to jump around, mark it up, and put into action the things that inspire hope in your own situation. Today I'm gonna bring a question that I pulled from the Noodle WhatsApp group. And if you're interested in joining that information is also in the show notes of the podcast. And I kind of tweaked it a little bit to flow well in a situation like this, in a setting like this, where we're bringing it to the big book. So Nikki, here's the question I have for you. And this is somebody who says, I have been a chronic relapser. I always swear off and am completely convinced that I mean it. I'm sincere. There is no way I will ever relapse again. But I've always gone back out again. Why do I do this? And how can I stop this cycle? Nikki, what does the book say?
Wow. Well, as always, we could be here for days on what the book says about this. I mean, I don't even know where to go because there's just so much about this. It's like, we can start with some of the stories, right? I mean, isn't that what happens here with some of these people that we've read? Like, let's just go to the jaywalker. That's a great place to start. Where am I in my book? It's like, where am I at the jaywalker, page 30, 37, 38. You know, our behavior, page 37 says, is as absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drink, right? As that of an individual with a passion, say, for jaywalking. See, that's what's happening. It's just, this is what's happening. He's doing it over and over again. You know, it says over the years on through the years, page 38, second paragraph. On through the years, this conduct continues. Why? Well, page 30 tells us we're in the grip of a progressive illness. We get worse, never better. And then it says, like, see, this person says, I keep telling myself, well, the jaywalker does it too. He says right here, accompanied by his continual promises to be careful, not to do this again, to keep off the streets, never to pick up again. I'm not going to call her again. I'm not going to drink that again. I'm not going to call my dealer. I'm not going to eat that again. Right. And then it says right here, like it says, he can't get this idea. He tries every known means to get the jaywalking, to get the drinking, to get all these addictions, the idea out of his head. And you can do these things. You may have shut yourself in an asylum. That's beyond human aid. You're not going to get better. That's why it says, and I'm going to go here real quick. Well, I can stay on this page. But, let me go down a little further. We're on page 38. Sorry, you guys. It's just there's so much here. It says, because you may think our illustration is too ridiculous. What are they talking about? About constantly jaywalking, about this guy, he gets hit. Then he goes back, says he's not going to do it again. Now both of his legs are broken. Now he's in a wheelchair. It's like that's what we do. You've overdosed. You leave the hospital. And I know this is true because I've watched people do it. They've been revived back to life. I know a guy who lost his leg, Justin, left the hospital, and the first person he called was his crack dealer without a leg. It was like, excuse me, sir, are you like, it's insanity. And so it says right here, we who have been through the ringer, the insanity, the relapses, have to admit if we substitute alcoholism for jaywalking, the illustration would fit us exactly. It's insanity. Right? It's like, this is really crazy. And so, do you have any thoughts on the jaywalker though about that? Because we went through the book together on that. So what are you thinking?
Every time I read this and think about the jaywalker story, the voice in my head always says, that's not you. That's not you. And yet it is completely me. What have I lost? And what have I damaged due to my addiction? Well, I've lost. Well, we can go to, and Nikki, you're going to have to go to the page if you remember this. The affections of a sweet wife. I've lost relationships and these things that just have killed me and killed relationships in my acting out. And I've sworn I will never, ever, ever do that again. And yet I go back out and jump in front of a car. So, Nikki, the way I relate to this most is, physically relate to this most. And I put this, my line out, I say sports. And I specify baseball. I love baseball. I played so much baseball until I was about 30. Just so much baseball. Love baseball. And my wife would be, when I got older, she'd say, okay, how did you get injured this time? Because I play all out when I'm playing sports. And my saying was, well, if I made the play or if I was safe, it's totally worth the injury. But as I got older, a lot less often did I make the play, and I still got injured. And yet I still would do it. It wasn't worth it. It's the same insanity. I have to recognize that I'm not immortal, that my body breaks down, and that applies with me perfectly to this situation of addiction and life, trying to think that I can get away with it. It will be different this time. And that's the obsession of the mind. Hey, Justin, it's going to be different this time. Go do it again. Any thoughts, Nikki?
Yeah, no, that's what we're talking about here with the chronic relapser. And people are going, well, you're talking about baseball, and then you're talking now about, getting off fentanyl. Well, they're the same, because eventually if he does not do that, see, his death will be slower because you're going to get, so much pain, then you're on some pills. And even though Justin does not identify as an alcoholic drug addict, he has other DOCs that will kill him just the same. It's just going to be a slower death. Like, it's eventually we get there. So let's go to page 116, because chronic relapser who's listening, you're not alone. It's all through the book. And so here it is. There's another paralyzing fear. Second paragraph, top paragraph, second down, page 116 of the 4th edition, Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. There's another paralyzing fear. My line out says relapse. See, you, Nikki, you're afraid. I don't have a husband, so I don't even look at that word, that I will lose my position. What's my position? That I've gotten this sobriety, that I haven't lost my mind, that I haven't, done the unthinkables. You are thinking, see, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm meditating actually on the wrong things, of the disgrace and the hard times which will befall you, Nikki, right? The relapse. This experience may come to you. So, sir or madam, whoever wrote in the Noodle chat that you're relapsing, the experience has come to you, right? Or it says it may have happened several times, and you've shared with us it has. And it says you're to regard it in a different light. See, I've had problems. I have a new problem with my neighbors, and I've been in lots of issues, not with my neighbors, but just in life. And I'm regarding this situation in a different light. See, it's going to prove to be a blessing. And thus far it has, because I keep seeing God show up in my life, because I'm making a sincere desire every day to be a member of this program and to abandon myself to God. That's a step 3 decision every day. See, and then it says right here, I'm to regard the relapse in a different way. Why? It's going to prove to be a blessing. Why? It's going to convince you, new person who's relapsing, chronic relapser, to stop forever. Why? It says you can stop if you will. That means if you're willing, you can stop. You have to be willing. Remember what we said in the spiritual experience? They're essential. Your honesty, your open-mindedness, and your willingness are essential. So then it says time after time, this apparent calamity. What's the apparent calamity? The relapse, your constant jaywalking. It says it's been a boon. That means it's helpful. Get an old dictionary. This book was written a long time ago. I had to Google it. What does boon mean? It means it's a gift. It's helpful to me and to my friends, to my sponsees, because it opens up a path that leads to a discovery. How about a deeper discovery of God? See, any relapse, anytime I mess up, anytime I slip off the beam, it's literally a blessing. And I also remember this, everybody, page 60, I'm not a saint. We are not saints. We progress along spiritual lines, because my big mouth keeps, saying something to offend somebody somewhere. And if I'm no good, I'm not perfect, I should die. Nikki doesn't want to go and pick up a drink. I don't want to pick up someone's husband. I don't want to pick up something at the mall that I can't pay off. I just want to die. It's real twisted for some of us. So page 117 says this, relapser, and I'm going to go deep and hard right here. We urge you, chronic relapser, to do. Don't just try. You better do our program. What's our program? What is a program? It's a set of activities, related measures with a particular long-term aim. What's your long-term aim? To be free, to serve people wanting nothing in return, to know that God will do for you what you cannot do for yourself. Why? Nothing on this planet, no human aid will be so helpful to the human race. I don't have a husband. You can put your wife in there, Justin, but you need to be helpful to the human race. You owe God's people more than just that. So it says, as the radically. And what is radically? And you guys know I love this, not just because I'm a Valley girl from Orange County, California. It's because that loves things that are totally radical, dude. No, because the book says radically, which means divine, extreme, excellent, awesome, beautiful, changed attitude. See, we do a roundtable with our friend David G, and he says, you're in here to get a new attitude. You're in here to get new beliefs. Don't fall victim to the belief. Page 32. Don't fall victim to the belief that you can go and do what you do and think you're going to get away with it. This is radical. So we're going to ask you to have a changed attitude towards the humans, that God, that the spiritual principles. Nikki, what are the spiritual principles? Well, I'll go through a few, and then Justin, you can, either tell me some other thoughts, but here it is. A few of the spiritual principles. Why don't you get humble? Why don't you forgive? Why don't you get totally content with your life so you don't feel to pick up anything but God? This is radical. Why don't you get honest? Why don't you get radically honest and unselfish and active in your life and stop being a sloth? Oh, Nikki, that's so hard. Well, it's true. You're running around like an ape, like a monkey with no brains, when our book clearly says on page 83 that God gave us brains to use. So again, we urge you to do our program because nothing's going to be so helpful as a radically changed attitude that God, the spiritual principles, will show you how to have. Any thoughts, Justin?
I do. This has taken me to a couple of the ninth step promises and references to that. I think when I gained the peace and some long-term recovery and sobriety in my own life and in my own walk in recovery is when I finally said, you know what? I'm going to stop treating these things as a shameful thing that needs to be hidden from everybody. Now, it's none of some people's business, but when I am out there being of maximum service to others, I don't need to hide my past, those relapses that I had. In fact, they can become, well, I will no longer regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. I will see that no matter how far down the scale I've gone, I will see how my experience can benefit others. And as I use that experience to benefit others, then I'm less likely to spiral into relapse, to spiral into feeling like I need an escape. My escape becomes running into the arms of God and running to the aid of others, pointing them to God. And that's where my escape is when I am in that place. Now, when I sit there and I go, oh, I can't believe I just relapsed again. I'm just going to relapse again. So I may as well just, and just spiral. It just spirals into self-pity. But the solution, once again, is getting outside of self and saying, you know what? I've been there. I get it. There's a way out. Let's walk. Let's commence shoulder to shoulder. Let's trudge this happy road of destiny. These things are that's my antidote to relapse, is getting outside and not being ashamed and not being secretive and just sharing my experience, strength, and hope. Nikki, any further thoughts on that?
Well, I heard you say get out of self. And so here it is. Chronic relapsers. And I have to do that today because my mind was drifting because, of course, like I got a message on my phone and I don't have a computer about the neighbors and the contractors. It's Monday morning. Everyone's getting busy and it's eating my soul. I'm allowing it to, but here it is. As you were talking, I said, smash the idea that you're like anyone else, Nikki, not just like any other addict, not just like any other person who suffers the disease of alcoholism. You better smash the idea that you can't get angry. I can't get scared. I mean, it happens. I can't get into self-pity. I'm not like other people. That chronic relapser. Smash the idea that you're like anybody. I don't get to respond right now to that message because it's going to eat my soul today. So I just got to pause. I'm going to go color one of my seniors' hairs because I'm her power of attorney. She has no kids on the planet. She has nothing. And I'm her power of attorney. I'm going to go color her hair. I'm going to ride my bike. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to sponsor somebody. She's coming to my home. Then tonight I'm going to go to my in-person meeting. That's my day, Justin. I don't get to respond to this email today. I'm not like other people. This is radical. Sorry, I'm tripping out because I'm like, why did I even look at that message? So here we are, live, real time, getting things that you can't accept and having to accept them. And I have to page 30, smash the idea. And then let me do another final thought here because I want to do it right now with you, Justin. I have to take a sincere position, page 63, right now, that not only am I going to abandon myself to this way of thinking and living today, but that I'm going to be a grateful member. And as a member, I can't do and say weird things to people because I have to show them what the big book means. I have to show, I'm their example of the big book. I have to show them what God looks like. I have to show them what love looks like. I have to represent. I'm an agent. of this power today. So I obviously I needed this meeting more than anybody else. I'm so grateful because that's what I had to do. Like, it's like final thoughts, Nikki. Yeah, I've got to smash the idea that and then I have to know here, one more thought too, Justin. I have to know that God loves me so much. I've got a loving, powerful God that's not going to let anything happen to me. Because you said, Nikki, I really heard the step 9 promises, and we've gone over this before. It says God will. And I think it says it about 11 times in there. It doesn't say God might. It doesn't say God should. It says God will do for me. So I started out with a hope dealing. So I'm going to deal a little hope to myself right now. The hope is that God is going to fix this whole thing with this fake illusion, my house, my money, my da da da. I'm just so grateful that I know the truth, and that I'm going to walk into it, and that I don't have to relapse on even a thought today. Oh, I'm grateful.
Thank you, Nikki. And I think I'll close out basically with that. The solution that God will do for me what I cannot do for myself may look different than what I hope it looks like, may look different than what I think the best result will be. But my experience is that that end result is better for me than I could have ever done for myself, even if I had it work out exactly how I hoped it would. Everybody keep coming back. It's not easy. It's not an easy path we trudge. It is not. It's simple. It's not easy, but it is totally worth it. Let's climb this mountain. And when we get to the top, let's look around, because it's worth it. And we are worth it to be able to see that vista from the top. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time.